Today on another episode of Reels Talk with Amanda and Omar, we are going to be exploring the information we've gotten about the prequel series to Game of Thrones, so stay tuned. As you know, little by little, there has been more information coming out every day about what to expect with this prequel series that HBO is doing for Game of Thrones after the final season airs. And so we just wanted to kind of talk about it and see what our thoughts are, what we found out so far, and what we hope to see in this new prequel series, because I know that Omar and I are very excited to see what comes of it.
I will go ahead and say that I am not a fan of prequels, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been a huge fan of things like Smallville or Gotham or... Well, I take it back. I was a fan of Muppet Babies, but mainly because Skeeter and Scooter, the whole mystery of who survived and who killed who. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
No.
Okay.
I mean...
So, no, I'm not a fan of things like this because I know what the end result's going to be. It's going to be Game of Thrones. Do I really need to watch this? But a lot of the things that I've been finding out about it actually kind of sound interesting.
Yeah. So now one of the big things that we know for sure is that the two executive producers of the show right now, Benioff and Weiss, they will not be the main showrunners on this prequel.
Oh,
they're moving on.
They're out.
Yes, they're out. They're moving on. They're still going to be labeled as executive producers. They're just not going to be the showrunners. Instead, we're going to get Jane Goldman, who has, she's
X-Men
done
First Class?
X-Men First Class, Kick-Ass, Kingsman. So she has a very interesting superhero vibe going for her. And then, of course, George R. Martin, because apparently he can't finish the next book in the series.
Apparently he
just
likes
writes everything
money
else.
more than he does
well,
trying
what
to finish
can I say?
Winds of Winter.
All we want to know is what his interpretation of his ending of Game of Thrones is going to be. That's all.
So I heard that he's actually writing a book about this series coming up?
No. So he's writing a book that's coming out in November. It's called Fire and Blood.
Okay.
And it's actually based upon the Lannister family about 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones. We don't know if that's what this series is going to be about. So right now, I think what George R. R. Martin recently has said is this is actually going to be called The Long Night, or take place in the Long Night.
It's not a pilot anymore. It has now been picked up as a series from HBO.
Yes, there's a number of them being kicked around.
Yeah, because I remember J.J. Abrams was toying around with the idea of coming and doing one. Okay, so this is a for sure thing. It's a prequel. It takes place how many years before?
We're looking at about, 5,000 years before?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Okay.
This is the Long Winter. So this is when there was a winter that lasted an entire generation. Old Nan.
Oh, the old Nan story.
Fear is for the long night.
People pretty much killed their children because they'd rather see their children die and instead of starve to death.
Wow. That's a dark story to tell a kid.
It was a very, very dark story. There's a lot of different characters involved that are descendants, or whom the people from our current Game of Thrones series are descendants of.
I wonder if it will end the way that she said it would, with Macumber waking up and then everybody being part of his dream.
Oh, like in her story?
Yeah, that she told Bran. That'd be kind of funny. And a
yes.
slap in the face. Because I'm sure that's the way Game of Thrones is going to end, Series 8, and piss everybody off.
I hope that's not the case either for Game of Thrones Season 8, but also not for this prequel either. Isn't that like Saint Elsewhere? When it was all the dreams
No, Game of Thrones is not part of the Tommyverse.
If only. Right now, this is what has been confirmed by George R. R. Martin as far as what the prequel series will be about. Now, we already know there are two main stars who've already been cast.
Yes.
Naomi Watts, who is the most famous name out of it, from The Impossible and King Kong, of course. She was also in that Netflix show, Gypsy, which wasn't well received.
And Twin Peaks.
And Twin Peaks, yes.
She's in the recent Twin Peaks. She's a great actress.
She is.
So have they said who she's casted as?
They have not. So there are a lot of ups and downs, in and outs of who she might be. There's a lot of speculation there, and to see what part she's going to play. And I also wonder if she's going to play a type of role like Sean Bean. So when Game of Thrones was originally cast, the only person I recognized, famous, right, was Sean Bean, because he had come off of his, Lord of the Rings fame and National Treasure, a lot of movies where he plays a significant villain or a good guy kind of role. And then for him to die off in the first season, a lot of people felt cheated by it. They're like, this is supposed to be the star of the show. So I'm curious to see if that's going to happen to Naomi Watts. If she's going on for the season, a red herring, if not, yeah. So it'd be interesting, because I really think who's going to be the actual hero of this show, kind of like how we've seen Kit Harington ends up being our hero for this Game of Thrones. It's going to be this actor by the name of Josh Whitehouse. The only thing that he's been in that is of any fame has been this BBC show called Poldark. It's a period piece.
Okay.
If you look at him, he's very much a Kit Harington type of guy. Very attractive young male. So I see him playing a significant role. He could play the last hero, the gentleman who allied with the Children of the Forest to help bring about the end of the Long Night and the White Walkers.
Okay. I assume, are they going to show what we saw already?
The Children of the Forest.
The Children of the Forest making the White Walkers?
I assume so, because that's how it all started, right? They had their war with man. They created the White Walkers to help fight the men. And then the White Walkers turned on them, brought about the long winter, the long night. They may not show it. We've already seen it, or they may show it in a flashback. But we're going to see what happens following that, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're going to see a lot of famous mythological creatures, at least mythological in the context
this is
of
back
Game of Thrones.
when the dragons were still around, right? So dragons played a big role in those wars. And then we had White Walkers. Oh, and this is where, I assume the story where they...
build the wall with Bran the Builder.
Yeah, Bran the Builder.
Who founded House Stark.
Yeah, okay,
So
that'd be kind of cool to see that.
That'll be really cool to see who plays that and how that leads up. Or Lan Cleaver, who formed House Lannister.
Oh, okay.
He's also played a role in this story also. So we'll see a lot of descendants of our characters we're seeing now. I'm hoping we see them, because obviously we can talk about Long Night, but there's a lot of darkness going on across the Narrow Sea as well.
Well, by the time that Game of Thrones is out, everything has been a myth, right? Like,
yes.
When Game of Thrones, when season 1 came out, it wasn't until the ending of season 1 where you see the dragons that people started to believe again in these things.
Yes.
So, because, I mean, if it's a couple thousand years, people tend to forget there was a guy walking around with a fire sword and things like that. So, it's going to be pretty interesting to see it.
It will be.
But I wasn't kidding. Prequels to me have never really made any sense, especially since, we've had some really bad prequels in the past. Yes. TV shows, because I know
not all prequels are bad.
The Hobbit,
the book is a great prequel, not a good movie.
But that was written before The Lord of the Rings. It's not a prequel.
But it's still a good story. That's a prequel, whether you like it or not.
It's like saying Back to the Future 1 was a better prequel than Back to the Future 2.
Right, Scott.
Well, I'm still excited to see it because I like seeing the history behind some of the shows, some of the things that we've seen.
Okay, so we know that you said Jane Goldman.
Yes.
So what do you think about that? What do you think about Jane Goldman? Because to me, it's hit or miss. Like I like First Class, Kingsman, and Kick-Ass because they were mainly based on Mark Millar books. They were okay movies. Okay. They were entertaining.
They were entertaining. And see, now I have a different mindset. I enjoyed both those films immensely, especially Kingsman. I thought it was a great parody or just a discussion about the spy genre in general. So it was interesting to see that, and I liked the way she handled the characters, and I handled the storyline. So I really enjoyed that film, and I loved X-Men First Class. Everything following that is to be desired.
Oh no, Days of Future Past for the win. That's the best X-Men movie. But anyway, that's another story. And I take it back because I forgot that the two original producers of Game of Thrones, the showrunners, those guys did Wolverine Origins. And that movie wasn't that great.
No, it was not.
So maybe she can pull it off.
But when you think about the films that she's done, X-Men, Kick-Ass, and also Kingsman, I can expect she's going to have some really interesting fight scenes. And it'll be interesting to see how she stages her fight scenes. I mean, are we expecting grand epic battles like we've seen? Are they going to follow the same formula as Game of Thrones?
Let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
Expectations of the show, because Game of Thrones set such a high level. Like the bar has been set super high for not just epic fight scenes, but just everything, acting and just
the production value. I mean, you're talking about $8 million like plus.
They built sets,
yes,
which is you hardly ever see in shows anymore.
John Oliver always makes a joke about the fact that they don't have any money for their set because they spend too much on dragons. I mean, it's true.
Okay, but that's the other thing is the CG. They set the bar so high that they must be pouring out money to the show. I mean, hoping it will succeed,
hoping that the fan
because they do need a Game of Thrones show after, because Game of Thrones is over in 2019. When does this start filming?
They're saying it's going to start production in 2019, so it won't come out until 2020.
So they will literally go no year without Game of Thrones except this year, 2018, right?
Exactly.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Which is great.
We'll go back to the original thing that you were saying, the epic battles.
Yeah.
Like, the epic battles are what makes Game of Thrones. They were cheap in the first season. They were like, oh, they knocked Tyrion out. Hey, battle's over. Season 2 with Blackwater, directed by Neil Marshall, one of my favorite directors of all time, which that's what I want to see. I wanted to see them bring back Neil Marshall because that guy is amazing.
They've had some really great.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think they should bring
Nutter,
back.
David Nutter,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're right. They have had a lot of great directors, so I would like to see that kind of being kept. I want to see more high production, big battles, especially now that we have dragons. So the CG the CG's got to be on point.
It has to be on point, or else everyone's going to be saying this is a poor man's version of what we've already seen. Talking about how season 1, they had kind of like a lower budget stuff. I think it's so funny because I always think of Game of Thrones. The first couple of seasons, was very focused on the sexual intrigue, right? Lots of sex, lots of boobs.
I never noticed.
You never notice it?
No.
Yeah.
But
a couple of male parts in there as well. All of a sudden, about 4th season, I'd say, it becomes more of this fantasy epic, and they essentially tricked these people, ordinary people who usually wouldn't be into this kind of stuff, into watching this high fantasy show. It's so incredible to me. And people are going to see it through because they want to see how it ends. When was the last time you seen Daenerys, take off her dress, or even the sex scene between Jon and Daenerys was very, to me, PG-13.
His ass was in the shot.
Still PG-13. You can have ass in a PG-13
Are we
movie.
really having this conversation?
Yes, we are.
Okay, but no, you're right. And I think
yeah.
that had something to do with her contract. She's like, okay, I'll get nude in season 1, and all the guys were like, yeah! Then season 2 and 3, especially when she has a couple of scenes with ladies,
yeah.
You're like, oh, this is going to be amazing. No.
We're going to talk politics.
They cut. More dragons. Yeah. Yay. So you're right. Maybe they lured up a group of people with boobs and dongs and whatever. Hodor.
So it'd be really interesting to see who comes back for this prequel as well. People who watch the show. What fan base is going to come back and watch the prequel?
It's Game of Thrones. Anybody that's watching the show right now or reading the books and is probably not going to wait on him to finish writing it, because let's face it, may not even happen, right? Especially now that he's got this show and he's writing a book.
This
on
is
the
your
Lannisters.
only outlet. This is your only
come
outlet.
On. Yeah,
this is the only way you're going to know what's in George R. R. Martin's head, because he's not putting it down on paper anymore, guys.
I think he's probably going to wait to see how fan reaction is with the ending of season 8. And then he may go back and write the story, but I don't think he's in a hurry.
I agree.
But, okay, so I'll take what I can get. And I think most fans of Game of Thrones, correct me if I'm wrong, will take what we can get.
Yes, and I think choosing the mythology, what I like about it is it's so far into the past.
It can be a different show.
It can be a whole different show. It can change. We're definitely not going to see cameos of characters that we know from this show. That'd be too impossible.
Yeah, the only one I guess that I could even none of them. Not even the Three-Eyed Crow would be around back then.
Yeah.
It's got to be a different world. The sets have to be different.
So what we're going to see is, so what's going to be interesting is these characters that are probably been talked about on the show, because they are mythological figures in the Game of Thrones universe. So we've only ever heard about them, never have seen them. So now we get to see them. That's why I'm excited about it.
Is it 10 episodes? Is it 13 episodes? We don't know much
we
other
don't
than
know much
it's coming
about
out
that.
in 2020.
Yep.
Okay.
And who the producers are, some of the main stars. And they may try to do it in a similar fashion the last couple of seasons have been too, where they're more longer episodes, more movie-like versus shorter episodes. They may try to go that route.
You mean movie-like and shorter episodes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of shorter episodes, 10 episodes a season.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I can see that. I'd be happy with that. It's interesting. I'm glad that they are doing something and George R. R. Martin is co-producing it. So,
yes, I'm excited about that too. Yeah. So far, that's pretty much what I'm looking forward to seeing. Just seeing how these characters come to life that we have only heard about in the books and in the series itself. Okay.
More boobs, more dragons.
That's all what Omar wants. And Neil Marshall.
And Neil Marshall has I'll take Neil Marshall over more boobs and dragons.
If he has boobs riding a dragon, that would be even better.
Fanfic.
Already started. Yep. So that's what we think, and we want to know what you think. What are your expectations of the new Game of Thrones prequel series coming out in 2020?
Do you even care anymore? Or are you done with Game of Thrones? Are you ready to watch the Star Wars TV show or the Bucky and Falcon buddy cop
or the Loki show?
No,
so we want to know.
He's dead apparently in Infinity War.
So we want to know. So go ahead and put your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and subscribe to our show and check out more great content from the Near Mint Condition family. Thank you guys for watching, and we will talk to you all soon. Bye, guys. Welcome back.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to introduce this episode because I never get to talk during the intro. This is Omar and Amanda. It's the Omar Show.
And he wishes. Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Reels Talk with Amanda. I want to laugh at it. I'm trying to laugh at it.
What? I never understand what you say when you're laughing. All right.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone.
Wait, do it one more time. I was looking at you. That's weird.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking about what to expect with the prequel.
I was just doing this. Reels Talk.
Okay.
That could be your thing. Reels Talk. Get it? I don't know who holds a camera like that, but anyway.
Welcome back.
Ass and titties. Titties and ass. I had to get it out of the